Okay, dear students, I will give the chapter-wise lecture videos in my YouTube channel. Okay, that is for each chapter I will create one playlist. That's why you can subscribe the channel and you can watch the videos and write notes and complete concept of entire chapter. Okay, now the starting chapter, matrices. Now let me start the matrices. The matrix. Matrices is the plural. Matrix is the singular. Matrix is single matrix. So group of matrix called matrices. That's why matrices is nothing but plural and matrix is nothing but singular. Okay. That's why now the definition for the matrix. The definition for the matrix. Write neat notes from the concept. I will give the entire concept including examples and including mains and advanced level of questions and concepts. Okay, that's why you can watch my playlist. I will create for each subject, for each topic one playlist. Right? Now matrix. A set of mn numbers. A set of mn numbers. A set of mn numbers which are real or complex numbers. Real or complex numbers. Real or complex numbers arranged in the form of a rectangular array. Arranged in the form of a rectangular array. Arranged in the form of a rectangular array. A rectangular array. A rectangular array having m rows, and n columns, n rows and n columns, having the rectangular array of m rows and n columns is called a matrix. Is called a matrix. Is called a matrix. Is called a matrix. Okay. So it's called a matrix of order m by n. Is called a matrix of order m into n. Is read as m by n. Of order m by n or m by n matrix. M by n order matrix. M by n order matrix. Which is read as m by n matrix. M by n matrix. Are you clear? That's all. So this is the definition for the matrix. This is the definition for the matrix. What is the definition? So mn numbers. Mn numbers means m rows and n columns. The mn numbers which are elements in the matrices. Elements in the matrix arranged in the form of a rectangular array of m rows and n columns is called matrix of order m by n. So that's why it is read as m by n. Now representation of matrix. Representation of matrix. Heading representation of matrix. Representation of matrix. Heading for this. Representation of matrix. Usually matrices represents the notations of the matrices here. So both are square brackets. This is one notation, this is one notation, or open brackets, this is one notation, or vertical bars, this is one notation. So these are the matrices representation, matrix representation. So usually matrices denoted by the capital letters, matrices denoted by the capital letters, and the elements in the matrix represents small letters. Elements in the matrices represents small letters. Matrix represents capital letters. These matrices represents capital letters. Elements in the matrix represents small letters. That's why elements in matrix denotes small letters. Small letters are numerical values 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, minus 1, 2, 3 elements. That means elements involving the matrix, small letters. Right? Now, example. Now, an m by n matrix and m by n matrix is usually written as here. This is taken as A. Since A represents the matrix, it is denoted by the capital letter. Now input the elements in the matrix which are small letters. That is A11, A12, A13, A14, so on, A1n. That means this represents first row. Here it is. The element in the first row, the first column. Element in the first row, the second column. Element in the first row, the third column. Element in the first row, fourth column. Element in the first row, nth column. Now element A21, A22, A23, A24, so on, A2n. Now this represents second row. So this is the element in second row, first column. This element belongs to second row, second column. This element belongs to second row, third column. This element belongs to second row, fourth column. This element belongs to second row, nth column. So here A31, A32, A33, A34, so on, A3n. So this represents third row. That's why this represents third row, first column, third row, second column. This element belongs to third row, third column. This element belongs to third row, fourth column. Now this element belongs to third row, nth column. Like this scenario, continue here. Now here it is. M1. That means this is the element in nth row first column. M2, M3, M4, so on, Mn. So this is the matrix which contains m rows and n columns. That's why order of this matrix is m by n. Order of this matrix is m by n. That's why this can be represented in a compact form of this matrix in a compact. So compact form means simple notation, matrix notation. This notation in compact form of m by n represents, that is the compact form of m by n matrix represents, that is A is equal to Aij. That means this represents each and every element in the matrix which is particular, which contains particular row and particular column. That's why this is the element which belongs to ith row, jth column. If I is 1, j is 1, then it is A11. If I is 1, j is 2, then it is A12. Like that. Of order m by n. Of order m by n. Where 1 less than or equal to I less than or equal to m. That means I lies within the interval 1 to m. Here starting 1 and in m. And 1 less than or equal to j less than or equal to n. So here it is starting 1 and ending n. That's why there is the compact form of the matrix. That is the compact form of the matrix. What is that? Capital A is equal to Aij m by n. Where, observe, m rows and n columns. Aij means what? That is the element in the matrix which represents the element of ith row and jth column. Ith row and jth column. That is lies within the, that means I lies within the interval 1 to m, j lies within the interval 1 to n. Okay, that's all. Now from this matrix, observe from this matrix, the numbers here, these are the numbers from the definition, mn numbers. Mn numbers means m rows. M rows represents numbers, n columns represents numbers. Mn numbers. That's why from this matrix, the numbers A11, A12, so on, etc. A11, comma, A12, comma, so on, etc. represents, so on, etc. represents, are known as the elements of the matrix A. Are known as elements of the matrix A. Are known as elements of A. Elements of matrix A. Since usually matrices represents the capital letters and elements in the matrix represents the small letters. Elements in the matrix represent small letters. That's why here small a11, a12, these are represents elements of the matrix, known as elements of the matrix. matrix A. Are you clear? Elements of the matrix A. Now, the element Aij, the element Aij is nothing but, what is that? That is the element of ith row and jth column. That is the element of ith row and jth column. In the element Aij, suppose that means capital A is equal to, this representation is matrix, Aij is the element. That's why in Aij element, that means the element Aij, I represents rows, J represents columns. That's why in the elements Aij, the first subscript I always represents row, J always represents column. Are you clear? Now, for example, examples for this. Here, from element, in the element Aij, the first subscript, I is called row. I is called row. And the second subscript J, J is called column. Now, for example for this one. Example. Here 5, 6, 7, 9 and 3, 6, 4, 5. In this matrix, 7 is the element of first row, third column, where this is 2 rows and 4 columns. That's why order of this matrix is 2 by 4, where 7 is the element of first row, third column. First row and third column. And observe here 3 is the element of 3 is the element of second row, first column. Second row, first column. Element. Are you clear? That's all. So this is an example. That means this is the rectangular array of numbers. Here 2 rows and 4 columns. That's why m by n means 2 by 4. This is the matrix of order 2 by 4. That's why we are going to order of the matrix. It is very clear. Order of the matrix is nothing but rows represents. That means rows by column. Rows by column is called R by rows by column is called order of the matrix. That's why order of the matrix, heading order of the matrix, order of matrix, order of matrix. What is the order of matrix? For any matrix, number of rows into number of columns. For any matrix, number of rows into number of columns. Number of rows into number of columns is called order of the matrix. Order of the matrix. Order of the matrix. That's all. So order of the matrix is nothing but for the rectangular array of these ones. Since here it is m rows and n columns, that's why this order is m by n. For this one, this represents 2 rows and 4 columns. This is 2 by 4. The order of this matrix is 2 by 4. That's all. So this is the complete concept for the matrix definition and representation of the matrices. Matrix definition and representation of matrices. Actually, this in a compact form of A m by n. The compact form is very, very important, especially for objective. Since compact form means the matrix always represented by the compact form, that is A is equal to A is a m by n. A is a m by n. Where it may be, that means types of matrices depends upon this number of rows and number of columns. That's why this is called compact form. The compact form is very, very important. That is the shortcut form. That is most important for objective. That's why this is a complete concept of the matrix. The first, so that means for basic concept of the matrix. Basic concept of the matrix. That's why you can maintain the notes. You can maintain the separate notes for exclusively concept. That's why concept notes is very, very important for competitive exams. Okay, that's all right.